Ladies and gentlemen, could I, if you can't see me, it's David Nimbleby here, at the far end of the crescent that you're... I'm sorry you had to walk all the way up here, having thought you were going into the other place, but it's downhill all the way from now on. Can you hear me okay at the back there? Just give me a wave. You can hear, okay, fine, good. I tell you what I wanted to do was, first of all, just to thank you all very much indeed for coming. It's great of you to come, and I hope we're going to have an enjoyable evening. And what I'd like to do is just tell you some things about the programme that will make it enjoyable for you. Have any of you been to Question Time before?
No.
You have? When we were here?
No, in the 1990s in London.
In the 1990s? Was I... Who was chairing it then?
I think it must be you.
No, it couldn't have been me, not that far back. In the 1990s. And you've been before?
Sir Robin Day.
Oh, Sir Robin Day. But that does take you... You didn't look old enough. Were you a voter then? Were you allowed in? You were a student? 15. And you've been before? When was that? Torquay. Right. Oh, I see. Okay. Anyway, so one or two of you have been, so forgive me if I... Well, you won't remember what I said then, it was long ago. Have you... So, second thing is, have you... Have you seen Question Time? Yes. That's vital, it helps. I'll tell you what the secret of the programme is. The secret of the programme is actually you. The whole programme is designed to reflect what you want to talk about, the arguments you want to have, not what the panel want to talk about, not what the BBC thinks might be the agenda, but what you decide should be talked about. And the reason the programme is successful is because of you. It's not because of the panellists who change each week, but you change each week too, of course, but because of you, the audience. And everything is done to try, and by me as chairman, is to try and make it as much your programme as it's possible to do. So, just to take you through the process, the questions we've had, for instance, which we're now sorting, we put into piles, and we choose the most popular question. And we pick about 6 or 8. And the idea of that, of course, is that even if your own particular question hasn't been picked, a subject that many of you want to talk about, no guesses, will be there. So you'll have a chance to speak your mind. I'll just explain the process for these questions once they've been chosen. What will happen is that Alison, who met you when you came, when you're in the studio, she'll call out the names of the people whose questions have been picked. And she'll ask you just to stand up so the cameras see where you are, where you're sitting. And importantly, she'll give you back your question on the card, right? And I'd be really grateful if you would use that question. And when you do use your question, you don't need to, no formality, it's very informal, this programme. Don't sort of say good evening, chairman, or panel, or yes, or hi mum, just speak the questions. We then go to the panel, and then the next thing I do is that I'm looking all the time for anybody who wants to speak. And the technique for that, you've seen many times, I'm sure, watching it, is just to put your hand in the air, keep your hand in the air as long as you want to speak. And I'll try it and come to you if I possibly can. When you do start speaking, and this is a small cosmetic point, it is worth remembering perhaps just to lower your hand. Because some people speak with their hands still up, and I don't know why, but it makes them look a bit weird. They've forgotten what they're doing or where they are. And then speak. Now, you can, next point, you can of course argue with the panel, but of course equally argue with each other, because you have, the range of opinion here. When you asked to come, we looked at your views on your political views. We looked at your views on Europe. We looked on all sorts of things to make a really wide range of opinion. And it's important that that's reflected. So if you feel that one side of an argument is getting too much of a say, give me a really hefty wave, and I'll try and come to you if I possibly can. And I'll call, it may call for, anybody disagree with that or something like that. So be ready for that. The important point being to get the arguments out there on whatever we're talking about as vividly as possible. Now you can take on the panel. You can take on, this is particularly effective television, the person sitting next to you. And if it's your partner, we especially like it. And you can take on other members of the audience simply by saying, I disagree, well, you've seen it from time to time, I disagree with the person up there, or what that man's saying is rubbish, whatever it is. That's what works well. And when you're speaking, another tip, really, is if you've got direct experience, because you, for example, work in the NHS, and we're talking about the NHS, and you know about it for some reason, you're a nurse, or you've just been a patient, or you're a junior doctor, or whatever it is, don't let that go without saying. Not at great length, but just it authenticates what you say if you've got direct experience of something. So just remember that. It doesn't, of course, matter if you haven't, do say what you like, but if you have, just use it. We did have this, we had a spectacular example of this once. We were debating whether hanging was a deterrent to murder, and a man put his hand up, very keen to get on the programme, and I called on him, and he said, I do know about this subject because I've been murdered. So what we do is, there's one other small thing, another weapon at your disposal tonight, which is applause. Funny to call it a weapon, but actually, when you're watching this programme at home, hearing your reaction to the views that are put is very important. So the more you can applaud things you like, and feel free to boo things you don't like, it gives a sort of shape to the programme. People get a feeling for whether the panel are getting their points across, or whether somebody in the audience has got their point across. So do use applause generously. That's a very... it's a very healthy weapon. What we'll do is, what's the time now? Just after 7. In a bit, we'll go down to the studio. When we're there, Evan, who's in charge of the studio, will conduct half an hour or so. I won't be there. Of a question time rehearsal, right? And what we'll need is 5 people to come and sit on the panel. So if you've always wanted to, or thrown things at the telly, if you want to come on the panel, that will be your chance. You look quite keen on the idea. You are, yes. I would add just a slight warning that if any of our real panellists don't turn up, quite yourself there. And that's about it, really. We bring the panel on, we do a question that we don't record, we then start recording, and we just do 1 hour. We don't overshoot, so we don't edit this. So last word is, if you've got things to say, get stuck in early, because you don't want the time. An hour goes very fast, and you may find you've missed your chance if you don't get in early. And that's the long and short of it. Are there any questions I can answer, or is that... yes, ma'am.
Does the panel know what we're going to ask?
Do the panel know what they're going to be asked? And the answer is no, they don't. And the whole secret of it is that they don't. So that they can know the general area of topic that might come up. This specific question is always very, very important to me and to you, because we can hold their feet to the fire on it, if you know what I mean. Yes, ma'am.
Where did you get your tie from?
Where did I get my tie from? For the benefit of those of you who can't see my tie, it's a perfectly ordinary tie with a little buzzer. It comes from Brighton. There you are, is that enough? Okay, yes, sir.
Will the panellists stay behind afterwards?
Will the panellists stay behind afterwards? On the whole, they tend to not. Depends whether they've been well received, I suppose. That if you want to beard one of them, maybe you'll have a chance. But they don't sort of linger very much. No. You'll find out why. Is that anybody else? No? Okay, well look, just one last thing I would say. Do enjoy it from here on in, because it is fun, and if you sort of are seen to enjoy it and make the best of it, then It makes a good programme, and people watching at home get enthused by it, and then we stay on air for another year or so, which is great for us. Thank you very much indeed. See you later on.